A difficult day today. It's Friday. I should be happy, but I'm not happy at all because we're joined with Steven Psihogios of NorthStar Bets. And if you're right back to Wednesday, we had a little bet where I was pretty surefire that the Vancouver Canucks were going to go into Boston and beat the Bruins. And let's just get right to it. Steve, I'm a man of my word, but
there we go. That's what I like to see. That's what I want to see on the screen today. A big old Bruins logo. Because you know what? We're 13 years removed now from the Stanley Cup final, but two things haven't changed, Justin. One, Brad Marchand still owns the Vancouver Canucks. He is the owner of the Vancouver Canucks. They've changed owners, but they really haven't. He is still the guy. Number two, can't win in TD Garden, eh? That has been a house of horrors. As a Bruins fan, growing up around lots of Canucks fans and lots of Leafs fans, I take solace in knowing that when a game has to come back to TD Garden and that first goal hits and the whoa starts to get going, it sends back flashbacks for all of you guys. So I'm relishing in what I saw.
You know it's night. Bad when you go online right after the game and all you see is pictures of the Vancouver riots from that time. That's all I saw across my timeline, man. It was a bad way. Listen, we talk about tests and statement games. That was the ultimate Boston Bruins statement game. It's like, I know you guys are good, but you're not better than us.
No, and you know, there are questions coming out of the break. Poitras's out for the year, a bad game against Calgary. Is this team going to regress? But we saw it last night. When the going gets tough, give the Canucks a power play and we'll score. So that's all it takes. Five shorthanded goals in the last 6 games. I think they've allowed Vancouver. I'm not mistaken.
Not good. Man.
Might be a little problem there.
6 shorties on the year. That's not good. Talk doesn't like that, Justin Pooni. I will say this. I mean, you just put up the Boston Bruins logo for like 3 seconds. Really, you should have it on you or have a jersey on.
Right.
That's the bet.
Right.
Steve's got to send me a jersey, man. You got to send me a jersey, Stevie.
Right. Look, I look. We won the cup. We had last night. That is good enough for me. You know what? I know what we said. But that is good enough for me.
Does that give you the boost, Stevie, that you need to believe that the Bruins can make a push all the way to the Stanley Cup?
Well, look, like if I'm being honest, I honestly think it's very wide open. The Eastern Conference, especially, you got Sergachev down now for Tampa Bay. That's a huge loss. Mm-hmm. The Rangers have really started to slow down after a hot start. It is pretty wide open. There's that Florida Panthers team that they'll have to play, and that I think is their biggest challenge. And I think that they're still the team to beat in the Eastern Conference, but outside of Florida, which they wouldn't draw likely until the 3rd round to the conference finals, I think Boston's got to be the favorite against anybody they play in the East.
Everybody in the East has had a dip except for the Boston Bruins, which is incredibly impressive because in the West, every team, you feel like, has had a dip. Vancouver, maybe Boston and Vancouver, but we can be seeing it going the other way now for Vancouver after that game.
Okay, let's.
Yeah, I knew Justin was going to
I've heard enough now.
Listen, man.
I've heard enough now.
I'm neutral. I'm Switzerland, man. I'm just calling it as I see it.
Look, was this the worst performance of the Vancouver Canucks season? Absolutely. They played their worst game that they could possibly play. I believe that Pettersson should get benched. He looked horrible. This is his lowest amount of ice time he played all season. The team just looked disengaged. I think they had a dinner at Connor Garland's house the night before or something like that. You know he's never going to host team dinner ever again. He's probably going to get parked on the bench for whatever happened the night before. But look, this is exactly what the Canucks needed, though, to be honest with you, because like Tocchet said at the All-Star break, they were getting a whole lot of praise finally. People were finally giving this team recognition that they just duly deserve. But now that you get kicked in the teeth like this in Boston by a team like the Bruins, it notches you down a level. And that's why I kind of am like, look, yeah, it sucked that I knew, and I was just dreading coming to work today and having to face you, Stevie, eye to eye virtually and go through this because I knew it was going to be painful. But this is exactly what the Canucks needed. Look, coming off the All-Star break on a 5-game road trip is no easy task. Look, they had a very good performance against the Hurricanes, another very good team in the Eastern Conference. You go to Boston, you get punched in the mouth. But look, you got the Red Wings, the Capitals, and the Blackhawks. If they can win the next two out of the next 3, you finish a 5-game road trip at the 3-2. That's a win for any team, right? So yes, it was bad, but look, this team will be fine. They'll be fine. And hey,
Yeah.
Phil Kessel's coming soon too, from what I hear.
Oh God.
Yeah, they'll be all right. They don't have to play Boston again for a little while. They'll be all right.
Until June.
All right.
We'll see what happens in June.
Yeah.
But Stevie, let's focus to the NFL. Biggest weekend in the NFL season, biggest weekend in probably the sports calendar. Super Bowl 58 this weekend in Las Vegas. Currently on NorthStar Bets. Right now, the San Francisco 49ers are 2-point favorites on the spread. The over-under is set at 47.5. Stevie, so when I'm looking at this game, I'm going to think about betting. I'm not going to touch the spread because it's so close. If I'm going to be a betting man, which I am, I'm going to look at the money line. Let's go first. Do you want to start straight with picks, or do you want to start with, props or MVPs, or where do you want to go from there?
You know what? You teed it up nicely there, Justin. Let's jump right into picks. And
Okay.
I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs at plus 107 over at NorthStar Bets. Look, I don't like it. You guys know I'm a Bills fan. My skin is crawling as I say this. But at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes is turning into this game manager plus in this Chiefs offense. I'm not saying he is, but what they're asking him to do is basically take care of the football, really move the ball down the field, long drives, run that clock so that our defense can go out and make plays and win us a title. That is what the Chiefs are doing. They did it against the Ravens. They did it against the Dolphins. In Buffalo, they needed Mahomes a little bit more. He was getting like 9 yards of play. The Bills defense had nobody left. But really, all the Chiefs are asking of Mahomes is to take care of this football and let that clock run. And they're doing it better than anybody else right now. And I really do think Brock Purdy's going to have a tough time going up against what I think is the best pass defense in the NFL.
And Mahomes 10-1-1 as a dog ATS, which is massive. I mean, who wants to bet against Mahomes as a dog? I don't. So I'm with you, Stevie. I have a question, though. Obviously, these two teams played against each other at Super Bowl 54. Do you put any stock into that outside of the same coaches being there?
Not really, to be honest. You look back at those teams, and there's some players that carry over, but you got a different quarterback on the side of the Niners, and their best offensive player today wasn't even in the lineup back then. So you've got to factor that in as well. So the Niners, if anything, have kind of upgraded a little bit more, but I don't think they've closed the gap enough on this Chiefs team, which has also changed how it's operating. If you remember the Chiefs back then, they needed a big fourth quarter to come back and win that game. That's not the MO of this Chiefs team, which is let's get the lead, let's put these nice drives together, and let's basically suffocate our opponent when they have the football. And that's how they're playing. That's how they're winning football games. It's a completely different Chiefs team. If they get down like they did in that Super Bowl, I would feel really bad about my Chiefs money line bets because I don't think they have what it takes to come back. They don't have the weapons. The Niners, they're going to sell out to stop Kelsey. I don't think there's anybody else in that passing game that can step up and make a play. Their path to victory, I think, is running the ball with Pacheco and Mahomes just making the smart play, which he always does.
I think what's getting lost a lot in the shuffle is everybody's been talking about the Chiefs defense, and rightly so, because they're one of the best in the league. San Francisco has the name power, the brand name power, the Hargraves, the Bosas, the Fred Warners, the Tre'Davious Wards, where you have a guy, especially on Kansas City, like L'Jarius Sneed, who should have been a first-team All-Pro cornerback, but wasn't. But we also seem to forget that the Chiefs struggle against the run, right? For whatever reason, Baltimore decided to go against that. I do see Kyle Shanahan's first 15, the first 15 plays are going to be scripted. Expect Christian McCaffrey to touch the ball a lot. But Stevie, when we look at the Super Bowls, when we look at the Super Bowls in the past, it's about who doesn't make the mistake or who doesn't make the most amount of mistakes. We look back at last year's Super Bowl when that Jalen Hurts fumble ended up being the difference in the game, right? And when I look at this situation, do you trust Brock Purdy, who ever since that Baltimore game has become a little bit more turnover prone? Do you see Purdy more prone to making a mistake now that we have Mahomes in this new iteration of not being Superman, but being a super game manager?
Well, one thing I think with San Francisco is they won a lot of games in blowout fashion this year. They were winning almost on a weekly basis by double digits until the end of the season. And the reason why I think that is because you could let Purdy air it out against those weaker defenses. Like, no offense, but the NFC doesn't even stack up to the AFC. The AFC is the much tougher conference. Mahomes, probably the best quarterback, definitely the best quarterback the Niners have played all year. And then you can argue Lamar Jackson being number 2. The Chiefs just shut him down last week. I don't think they're going to have a tough time shutting down Brock Purdy. Kyle Shanahan's a smart guy. As I mentioned earlier, the Niners, they weren't afraid to air it out against weaker defenses. I think you're going to see Shanahan play very conservative in this game. He's not going to let Purdy chuck it and make him be the guy that wins this game. You're going to see a lot of quick passes, a lot of screens, a lot of dump offs, because that's how the Niners want to approach it. They know Purdy can get rattled, and they know Purdy, this is a big moment for him. You don't know how he's going to respond under this spotlight. So I expect Kyle Shanahan to run a very conservative game plan. That's why I like the under as well, for the reasons you mentioned as well, Justin, because that they're probably going to lean on the running game. And if McCaffrey gets going, that clock's going to start running, and it's going to bleed off, and it's going to keep – I think it could be a very quick Super Bowl, because the Chiefs, I also think, are better off running the football with Pacheco versus throwing the ball in this game. So I expect this to be a low-scoring contest. I have it being – right now, 24-21 Chiefs. So I really do like that under on 47.5.
So
if
you're
Brock
on the
Purdy, go ahead, Justin.
No, you go ahead, Bert. Go ahead.
If Brock Purdy is going to be grounded, like you're saying, I'm assuming you're expecting him to use his legs a lot more, maybe to go over his rush yard prop, which I think is at 12.5.
Bingo. Exactly. I really do like the over on his rushing yards prop, because he's going to be looking up and he's going to be seeing Debo's covered. He's got Trent McDuffie on him, who's very good at covering those in routes that Debo likes to run. We see him take him to the house. You're going to have Snead, like Justin mentioned, covering whoever's on the outside, likely Ayuk. He's going to see a lot of Brandon Ayuk in this game, I'd imagine. And then the Chiefs, they haven't given up much to tight ends. I mean, Mark Andrews came back last week, or in the previous game, hardly even noticed him. Same with Isaiah Likely, who was a big part of this Baltimore offense down the stretch. They neither tight end really made a big impact. So I think Purdy's going to be looking up, sitting back there, saying nothing's open. I got to make it happen on my own.
Okay, so Stevie, you're on the Chiefs. Bert, what's your pick for Super Bowl 58?
Chiefs money line. That's all I'm betting. Listen, as much as I love props, and I said that on the last show we did, I think Chiefs money line, you're getting plus money. You're getting Mahomes as a dog, 9-0-1 ATS away from Kansas City, 3-0 straight up as a dog as well. I mean, I just can't bet against a guy who I'm putting in the same category as Tom Brady. As long as he's in the game and he's in these big games, it's Mahomes for me all the time.
Absolutely.
How about this? Sorry about that, Justin. Sorry.
Problem.
How about this for a little parlay too, guys, over at NorthStar Bets? You combine Chiefs plus 4.5. Chiefs plus 4.5. They covered this in 17 of 20 games this year. Then you combine the under on 52.5 points. That hit in every single Chiefs game, all 20 this year, plus 120. And you cover the field goal on either side, and then you get the under on that total.
I kind of like that.
He's speaking my language, Stevie.
I like that. What I was going to say is I've been thinking about it a lot because I knew we were going to talk about it today. I kind of have a little how I feel it's going to end in my little crystal ball. I see the Niners get the ball. The Niners score, go up 24-20. Mahomes gets the ball at the end of the game, drives the Chiefs all the way down. The last play of the game, shovel pass to Travis Kelce, 26-24, Kansas City Chiefs. And my best bet for the game is Brock Purdy over on interceptions. He will throw an interception, and that will be the turning point in the game.
I can see it. Chris Jones can get after any quarterback, and he comes right up the middle. There's nowhere to run when that guy's coming at you. So I can see it for sure. I can see him making some mistakes here.
Just for you, Stevie, before we sign off, congratulations. Enjoy the Super Bowl.
Thank you.
And we'll be sure to break it down next week.
Sounds great, guys. Thanks for having me on.